Welcome back to the Get Off the Treadmill podcast for practice owners and leaders, where we are obsessed with how to build a successful practice and get a life too. Hi, I'm Chuck Blakeman, and we're going to dive into another topic that helps us make more money in less time, get off the treadmill, and rehumanize dentistry by giving everybody their brain back. Welcome back to the Get Off the Treadmill podcast for practice owners and leaders, where we're obsessed with how to build a successful practice and get a life too. Hi, I'm Chuck Blakeman, and I'm here with Howard Farran today. We're going to dive into a topic that will help you make more money in less time, rehumanize your dentistry, and give everybody their brain back. Howard, it's great to be with you.
It's an honor to be on your show. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
You bet. I'm glad to have you back. You know, today I want to talk a little bit about the dentists themselves, the owner, the dentist. You know, when we go into practices, you've seen this for 30 plus years. The dentist, I don't believe any dental practice, I don't believe very many businesses fail. I believe what happens is that the owner gets tired. And then they stop paying attention to the things that matter. And then failure comes, and we measure the things that they stopped paying attention to and say, see, he wasn't doing sales. No, it's because he wasn't tired, or he was tired. Or see, he wasn't doing marketing, or he's not doing good dentistry. It all goes back to them being tired. They're overwhelmed, they're overworked, they're overtired. And you talked a lot in your book on Uncomplicating Business about people, time, and money. And I think it's so, you're such a great resource on getting the dentist to trust those people, figure out how to work with their money, and get their numbers. So I'd love for you to kind of go off on that subject today. How do we get the dentists to where they're not flying out for every CE course just to get the heck out of their office to escape for 30 minutes? They're actually energized by what they're doing.
Well, you know, you're in the great state of Colorado. You're in Denver.
Yep.
And I mean, look at the Denver Broncos. I mean, there's I'm out here in Phoenix, Arizona with the Arizona Cardinals. I mean, it seems like it's always, I mean, how many times has the Broncos been in the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I think 6, I think.
Yeah, six times. And there's 38 teams. You always see the same teams over and over. So when I was a little kid, America's team was the Cowboys. But I think you'd have to say at our age now, America's team would have to be the Patriots. Uh-huh. How long have they had the same coach and the same quarterback?
Yeah.
And when you go to the Cardinals, if you talk to, what's his name, John Elway?
Yep.
He doesn't care about the stadium. He doesn't think about artificial grass or real grass, or the football's made of pig or cow, or all they care about is HR. And the dentists are in this narcissistic bubble where it's all about them, and they go to courses by themselves. They get initials behind their name, and they don't attract and retain. I mean, my office manager, Don, been there 20 years. The guy who programmed DentalTown in 1999, he's still there. Laurie, my first bookkeeper, she's still there. Now she's the president of the company. So for me, it's so easy because I don't have to do anything. I don't have to manage somebody who's been there 2 decades long. Are you out of your mind? How could I have to manage someone who's been there 20 freaking years?
They know it inside out.
And one of the biggest threads right now today on DentalTown is dental office drama. Is it just part of the deal because they're girls? And you know, when I hear that girl stuff, you know, that whiner stuff, one of the best people who ever spoke with the Arizona Dental Association was, who was the basketball coach who was at the Lakers and the New York, Paul Ryan
oh gosh, tall guy. Well, they're all tall. That doesn't help. Yeah, he's done a lot of meditation stuff.
Yeah, and he was talking, and it was a man, and the man said, well, you know, it's tough because, you know, all the employees are women and they're crazy. He goes, come on, look at my employees. I'm in the NBA. They're all inner city African Americans. Most of them didn't have a father. They grew up in areas where a lot of people had substance abuse, mothers raising kids. He goes, every group of employees, and he went through 20 different employees about how, you know, minors are 99.9% all men. Women don't work in mines. Healthcare is who cares? It doesn't matter if it's all minors, if it's all NBA, if it's all high. The bottom line is all these threads on DentalTown is, why is there so much drama? Well, that's what's draining. That's why they want to leave town. That's why they give up, because there'll be 5 people in their office and one of them is just toxic, and he can't grow some stones and fire the person. And some people love to work. Like I look at Laurie and Ken and Dawn and Stacy. I mean, they're workaholics, and you would call us workaholics, but I would say they love what they do.
Love what they do. Yeah.
They get along with everybody. And when somebody's not getting along, we get rid of that person. And I don't worry about training staff, because I just worry about staff turnover, because if you work for me and you don't really know what's going on, well, you will after a year or 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 or 20. So employee training is always talked about in companies like Starbucks, who every time you go in there, there's a different employee making your coffee. So they got to really focus on, when you go work at Subway, before you walk in there, you have to get online and you have to watch 6 one-hour videos. And you have to take tasks, because how long are you going to work at Subway? Well, it was the same thing with dentistry. I mean, it's very easy to do when you have a team. I mean, we're all part of a team, and I'm the laziest guy in the dental. Like, people always ask me, well, how do you do it? Well, one of the reasons I do it is because I really don't do anything. I mean, I've got all these great people that have been with me forever that do everything. And then when the dentist says that he can't delegate, I say, well, what if Sam Walton had that idea?
Yeah.
Imagine that Sam Walton dies, so they close down Walmart. Sam Walton took 20 years to open up his first dozen Walmarts. Now he's 6 feet underground, and they open up 40 a month. Ray Kroc and McDonald's.
Richard Branson.
Ray Kroc is completely dead, and 40,000 McDonald's got up today and made 2 all-beef patties, special sauce, cheese, less nuggets,
and Richard Branson lives on an island, and somehow 400 and some companies get run, and he doesn't have to be there. I call it a bad case of the nobodies. Nobody's as good. Nobody's as experienced. Nobody's as invested. Nobody went to dental school like I did, and so we can't delegate because we think nobody else has a brain. And what I'm hearing you say, the simple principle here is, trust that these people are experienced enough and they're invested enough that they actually will take on responsibilities. You can trust them. You have to trust them. You've got to delegate to them. And that trust communicates to them, I make a difference, and that causes them to stay.
Yeah, and dentists are, it's reverse natural selection. The best natural selection example I can give is go back to the United States in the early 50s. When they started really studying bipolar, and they realized America was 4% of bipolar. And the Europeans were saying, well, we're 0.5%. And everybody just saying, okay, we're measuring it differently. So as the decades got by, they're like, you need to measure it right. And then finally a guy went over there, and they really said, we have to solve this because we're not measuring it the same. They finally realized, my God, Europe is only 0.5% and America is 4%. And then what did they figure out? It was natural selection. So for the last 500 years, who was the most likely person to say, you know what, screw this country. I give up on Italy, France, and Portugal, and England, and Ireland. I'm going to get on a boat with a shirt on my back and go to America. Who was that person? A bipolar in a manic high. Well, look at dentistry, it's the reverse. If you go to college and you join a frat and you have a girlfriend and you go out 3 nights a week and you go clubbing, yeah, make 1 C in calculus, physics, chemistry, and you're never going to be a physician, a dentist, a lawyer. So what did they get? They got these people like myself who lived in a freaking library. I mean, every night at Creighton University, I heard the same. You know what the most annoying thing at Creighton University was? At 10 minutes till midnight, every night I would hear this. Ting, the library will be closing in 10 minutes. And we'd go, damn it. And then we would go back to the dorm, and there'd be music and beer, and they'd be sneaking in women. I'll never forget, I went to the head Jesuit priest, 80-year-old Father McGloin, and I walked in there livid saying, Father, the library needs to stay open 24 hours a day. You can't study in Swanson Hall. I come back there at midnight, and they got beer and women and music. And an 80-year-old Jesuit priest gets up from his desk, walks around, puts his arm around me, and says, Howard, maybe at midnight you should just relax a little bit. And I'm like, okay, so dentists are the geeks where they get chewed out by 80-year-old priests for not lightening up. And then they walk in there and the hygienist says, oh yeah, I saw a distal cavity on number 3. Well, you're not a doctor, you can't diagnose. Right. And then he's looking at the patient. Yes, you have a distal lesion on the back of number 3. You need a distal occlusal posterior restoration. And then you have an interproximal restoration. And you'll need an endodontic therapy. And then nobody knows what the hell idiot's saying. And then the assistant, when she's taking the FMX, I saw this in the hospitals with my boys. I went in there and I said, well, is it broken? And the lady taking the x-ray says, well, we're not allowed to say. And I said, well, just between me and you. She goes, I get fired. And I said, well, look to the left if you think it's broken, and look to the right if it's not. And she starts doing this. I'm like, what kind of psycho place is this? I thought, freedom of speech, you can't even give me your opinion. I didn't say it was a diagnostic, and I'm going to do what the radiology text said. But when that assistant's taking the x-ray and then the phone, like dentists say you can't diagnose over the phone. Well, I sure as hell bet Stevie Wonder could. If you called him up and said, I got a toothache, I bet he could say, well, is it in the upper or the lower? Is it on the right or the left? How many teeth back is it? Did you have your wisdom teeth pulled? Does it wake you up at night? Is it sensitive? Stevie Wonder. Hell, I bet Ray Charles could do a better job at diagnosing and treatment planning, and he's dead. Stevie's blind, and here's the doctor, and I say, well, how many incoming calls does your receptionist get a day? Because when inbound calls come, I need her to have 5 or 10 minutes. And he's got one girl, he doesn't monitor the calls, he doesn't record the calls. Then they come back for an FMX, and then the assistant's taking the x-rays, and they say, well, and they're just listening to music. And it's so inhuman. There's no relationship, there's no trust, and then you wonder why they don't come back. And simple math will tell you this: if a hygienist works 40 hours a week, 50 weeks a year, that's 2,000 hours a year. That means she can only see 1,000 people for a cleaning twice a year. And that means if you got the average new patient flow, which is 25 new patients a month, that means every 3.5 years, you'd get another full-time hygienist. And you go into every office and say, hey, doc, we're in the middle of Salina, Kansas. When did you open your office? When I was 25, 40 years ago. Okay, now you're 65. So you've been getting 25 new patients a month for 40 years. How many hygienists do you have? 4, 6, 8? We have one hygienist come in 2 days a week. And I said, well, what do you need? He said, well, I need new patients. Do you think I should get on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram? It's like, dude, you've seen every person in the county and nobody came back.
Yeah.
You think you're going to solve your problems tweeting on Twitter and posting stupid memes on Facebook? You know how dentists make the most money on Facebook? Is by deleting their account and then building a team and letting them talk and
building relationships.
Yeah, building relationships, and your customer doesn't come first. Your staff comes first. I have fired a patient probably every other year for 31 years. You don't come in here and drop the F-bomb and make my assistant frazzle and everything. I had to fire my best friend. And I think because he was my best friend, he thought he could get away with being the true jerk that he was to other people. And I said, no. I said, we were having a staff meeting. When they saw that you came in at 10, they almost all wanted to puke. So I called my cell phone. I said, dude, you're fired. You're not coming in here. Nobody likes I'm the only one who likes you.
Somebody wrote a book probably 25 years ago. I never read it because sometimes they give away the title in the book, or the whole thing in the title. And the title of the book was, your customer is always number 2. And the point of the book, you read the back of it, was basically treat your people like they're the highest priority, and they will turn around and do that with your customer. So I think you got your priorities right.
He doesn't want to hear the soft stuff. He's like, I don't want to hear any of that crap, Howard. Right. What bonding agent do you use? Should I get a laser? Should I get a CAD cam? Should I get an MRI? They absolutely... It was reverse natural selection. If you had a personality and could get a date, you never became a lawyer, okay? So the fact that when you tell someone you're a dentist, you should put your hand up like you're in an AA meeting and say, I'm sorry for I've sinned, I'm a dentist. I must have been a complete zero in undergrad because I got straight A's. Hell, I got into dental school a year early. You know what kind of loser you have to be? I didn't have one date at Creighton in 3 years, nor the first 3 years of dental school. And when girls would ask me at Creighton if I wanted to go out or go to the dance or the bushwhack, I would get mad. I'm like, are you crazy? Like, I'm here to go on a date. I'm trying to get in dental school. I mean, these are the crazy sons of the crazy ones that become dentists, physicians, and lawyers. So reverse natural selection. And then a lot of dentists always tell me, they'd say, well, Howard, I'm not like that. I mean, I'm a recluse loner and I'm an introvert. I'm not like that. Well, look at all the movie stars in Hollywood. They're not really killers. I mean, look at natural born killers. What was that guy's name? Woody Harrelson. You think Woody Harrelson really drives around small towns shooting people? So when you pull up, there's 168 hours in a week. And when you pull up to your dental office, you just entered Hollywood. I mean, go to Disneyland. You really think that guy's Goofy and Mickey Mouse? They pull up to Disneyland, they put on their uniform, and they become Goofy or Mickey or Minnie or Pluto or whatever the hell they are. And the bottom line is, when you pull, and look at a dentist, they go back to their natural state. When they get done doing a root canal, they go back and they go in their office, they shut the door. Well, during these basketball games, during these football games, where's the coach? Right down the line. When I'm done, I walk up front. And a lot of times, sometimes they're on the phone and they're saying, hey, hold on, Dr. Farran, I got a patient on the phone and we've been talking about implants, but you're standing right here. You're the best one to answer. You talk to this guy. Hello, this is Howard Farran. I'm the dentist. I've been here 31 years. How may I help you? And then I'm talking to them. Or I'll go up there and I'm in trouble. They'll say, hey, Howard, see Frank out there? Yeah, he was supposed to have an appointment at 10. Look what time it is. It's 15 after. I'm like, oh my God, Frank, I am so sorry. I walk out and it's really weird because they were showing you they were mad to Dawn. Yeah. But they won't show they're mad to me. And they go, oh no, it's okay. It's fine. No worries. They're all smiling. And my staff said to me, I'm like, oh my God, he was just up here ripping you an asshole. And so it's about running for mayor. I tell dentists, when you're at the dental office, you're running for mayor. You're trying to get your staff to vote for you, to come back and work for you for another day. And it's a mutual thing. And your patience and extreme. And I'll tell you what, I'll give you the new patient referral. I'll just prove to you that you can never do it. When I'm done, I love iPhones the most. I just love iPhones in Phoenix. They're the majority phones. With dentists, they're majority phones. And I get all done and I say to you, first of all, I said, I haven't had a root canal cavity cleaning. I haven't had any of that stuff because I get my teeth cleaned every 6 months. I do what the hygienist says. And so if you go and listen to Jamie or Brady and you do what they say, brush every morning, floss, do all that stuff, get your teeth cleaned. I mean, they might tell you to get it cleaned 2 times a year, 4 times a year, and listen to them. Don't listen to your insurance. What if you didn't want to have any more kids and the insurance says we only pay for a castration and you wanted a vasectomy? Would you sit there and say, well, the insurance said cut my balls off, so what could I do? So you do what they say, I'll never see you again. So what I'm wondering, how many contacts do you have in your iPhone? Yeah. They never know. And most of them don't even know how to find out. And I'll say, well, go to your contacts, and then you go to the bottom, and it'll say, okay, I got 854 contacts in my app. I'll say, do you think any of those people need a dentist like me? Almost every time they'll say, oh, who needs a dentist? I was at Ma's house Sunday eating dinner, and my sister's there with her boyfriend, Frank. They've been dating for a year. His whole right side was swollen. I'm like, swollen? Are you serious? Can you FaceTime him? She says, seriously, right now? Yeah, I'm a dentist. He's swollen. I mean, would you recommend me? She FaceTimes him, and she's like, Frank, I'm sorry, but I'm at my dentist. And my dentist, anyway, I told my dentist, and then I'm FaceTiming Frank. He's pulling his mouth back. He's talking about this or that. I mean, it's unbelievable. I call those extreme referrals. I learned it from a good friend of mine. The bottom line is dentists can't even ask for a referral. I mean, they can't even take out a business card and say, hey, by the way, here's my business cards. And yeah, I got to box them everywhere. You always know it's a dentist because I've been lecturing to dentists for 30 years. I've never met a dentist that had a business card. And when I get done, I'll say, hey, I want to tell you something. I'm the dentist. I own this place. No one else owns it. You have a problem. Here's my card. It's got my email address. It's got my cell phone. You tell me, you text me, you call me. If anything goes wrong, I don't want to read about it on Yelp. I don't want to read about it on Google reviews. I don't want to sit here the rest of my life and say, I wonder whatever happened to Mary Sue. Did she die? Did she move back to Virginia? You got a problem with anything in this place, I want to be the first one to know about it. And do you think you know anybody that needs a dentist like me? I mean, I give you, how many cards you want? You want 1, 2, 3? How many?
Yeah, that's great.
And see, and they can't do that. They say, well, that's not me. So what, would you be Woody Harrelson? You'd be sitting in the movie. Well, I can't just shoot that person at the gas station. I mean, that's just not me. I'm not a murderer. No, you're a salesman. And when you're on, you're on. And it's so easy. If you get an A in the soft stuff, you can be a horrible dentist and make $400,000 a year.
Yeah.
And you don't believe me, I'll give you 20 names.
Oh yeah, and I see a lot.
Best dentist. And you went to the Pankey Institute for 6 weeks, and then you went to Coyce, then you went to Spear, then you went to Ross Dash, and you do everything on a semi-adjusted articulator, you'll probably hang yourself.
Yeah.
Okay? Learn the soft stuff.
I think Howard, the dentists we need to reset the mindset on what is soft stuff. We don't even call it that anymore. You hear of soft skills and hard skills. I think that puts the soft stuff in the bad light. We call it production skills and human skills, because this isn't soft, this is human. And there's so much data on this, Howard, that it's not funny. 90% of the most successful people in the world have high emotional intelligence. 90% of the most unsuccessful people have very low emotional intelligence. The soft stuff, it's about human skills. And we've got to get dentists thinking more about releasing their staff to create that humanity in their practice, trusting in their humanity, and bringing those human skills into the practice. And the dentist, to your point, has to learn it as well. I've heard you through multiple podcasts, and this thing keeps coming out over and over. You should say it more directly at times: relationship, 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 because that is so much the center point of everything you talk about is relationships with your staff, relationships with your patients. Have your business card and put your phone number on there so they can have a relationship with you. They need a connection, and we're not thinking about connections. We're thinking about what kind of good, how good are my margins?
And in the NFL, again, back to the NFL, because I like the NFL because that's one of the most competitive HR businesses in the world. I mean, 38 teams fighting over the graduating class of all these colleges. And I mean, and they'll go to you and they'll say, hey, last year we got 7 draft picks. Nothing happened. We didn't make the playoffs. They go replace that coach and they get someone else. They say, you know, the other team in the next state, they had the same number of draft picks and they made the playoffs. And then I'll go to a dentist and say, okay, you've been here 15 years. Your average staff isn't even been here 2.5 years. Who's hired all these people? Oh, me. Well, you suck at it. Maybe your spouse is better. Why don't we let your office manager? I mean, if the dentist knows, if every time he started a molar root canal, he perfed it, couldn't finish it, had to refer it, and paid endodontist to fix it, he would eventually say, I don't do molar endo anymore. About half the dentists I know won't do molar endo. They know they're bad at, but then they go to HR, which is 10 times more important than molar endo, and they still got the job 40 years later, and 40 years later, they have one hygienist 3 days a week. None of their, 95% of their patients at the end of their 40-year career, 95% fired and left. Yeah. And they're still in charge of HR. And I thought I was pretty good at HR, and I thought I was really good until I hired Laurie 20 years ago, and she was better than me. So I'm not that anymore. I thought I was a good gauge of an editor in DentalTown, but 20 years ago, Tom Giacobbe, a doctor in Chandler, I was realizing that he was better at it than me. So I gave him that skill. If I'm really good at something, I do it. If I can find someone better than me, I let them do it. And then if you can't delegate, then I hope that you're never going to die. Because if you don't believe in delegating, then you can't believe in death. because the greatest CEOs that ever lived are all dead. And you can read their books. I mean, Thomas Watson Jr. is dead. Ray Kroc is dead. Sam Walton is dead. So you're going to have to delegate someday. Why don't you start doing it today?
Yeah, let me give you two great questions for that. It's really insightful, because I think it's one of the biggest problems dentists have. They were taught that they need to know everything. They're like submarine captains. They have to know everything, and it's hard to delegate. There's two simple questions that we use when we work with practices and we take them to our GOT summits. Two simple questions. We call it the practice owner's game. Question number one: is what I'm doing right now the highest and best use of my time? And when you first start playing this game as a founder, I mean, these guys are doing accounting, they're doing HR, they're doing all these crazy things that are not the highest and best use of their time. So the answer is going to be no. The second question is then, if this is not the highest and best use of my time, how do I do it for the last time? And the answer is create a process, delegate it, train somebody else. There's a dozen ways to get it off your plate, but that is the way we get our freedom as practice owners. Is we got to figure out what are we really good at, what are those guys really good at, and have the humility and the foresight to give that stuff to those people who are better at stuff than I am.
And you know, you're from Colorado, which is a good test case. So when you go back to when I was in the 7th grade and was going to Kenny Anderson's office and watching him, the big deal there was this Bob Barkley guy was going around the country telling everybody to hire these hygienists. And the dentists fought them today, back then, just like they're fighting dental therapists today. And they're like, first of all, I don't want to go to your course because I'm so busy pulling all the teeth and doing dentures. Who the hell's this guy wanting a hygiene department? He's an idiot. And don't ever legalize some girl to come in here and do something, because I can only do anything. And it was just fighting a wall. It was like when I was little. If you drank beer and whiskey and stacked the car, people just said boys will be boys. But if you smoked pot, it was go to jail time.
Yeah.
Now 30 years later, Colorado's got legalized marijuana. I was in college for 9 years. What I witnessed is on the weekends, if the boys smoked pot, they stayed in, they watched movies, they ate pizza, they behaved. If they drank beer, they all went out and chased women. If they drank whiskey, they got in fights and DUIs and broke jaws. So logic never implies. So now you come back 50 years later and nobody wants to do their cleanings. They all like, oh, we love hygienists. And what do they say when you have a new idea? First, they will reject you, and then they'll be violent against you, and then they'll accept you and always think they believe you all the time. And the bottom line is now it's dental therapists. You're independent practice with hygiene. You're in Colorado. You were the only state that did it first. I mean, you were the only state that did it first and was the only one doing it for at least a decade of my career. And I met all 7 of them, and they were all in a small town, and they took their dining room table out and put in a used hygiene chair and would do a cleaning. And then when she saw some broken thing, she'd write a referral, and then that person would drive an hour into town, and the dentist loved it. And the dentist's like, oh my God, every time I get a patient from her, they need a crown or a root canal or major, they all loved it, but all the dentists fight it. Today it's dental therapists. Every time I've seen a dental therapist, you go into office and I go, oh my God, I used to do all my cleanings. I got 2, I just do my cleanings. I used to do all my fillings. Now I have 2 dental therapists. They numb, they drill, they do the whole filling. So now I'm just in room 5 and all I'm doing is molar root canals and implants and surgeries. And I just love it. So they're always trying to fight to keep the right to do surgery with their hands all day long. Yeah, look at Rick Workman. Has 850 offices, hasn't seen a patient in 20 years. Look at Steve Thorne at Pacific Dental. He has 500 offices. He's not even a dentist. His dad's a dentist. And when Steve thought about going to dental school, he thought, why would I go to 8 years of college to be a dentist when I can hire one for 25% production in an hour? I can hire 80 of them today. And so this dentist, they just want to drill, fill, and build. And when they're done, they want to go hide in their office and surf Facebook, and they're totally they don't know their Google reviews. And you ask them any questions, I'll just go back to that funnel. How many people called your office? I don't know. How many went to voicemail? I don't know. And then I'll go in there and I'll say, well, you got 1 hygienist, and then you got 2 assistants, and you got 1 girlfriend. I'm going to take away 1 of your assistants. And right now we measuring the phones coming in, and you're open Monday through Thursday, 8 to 5. And there's 168 hours in a week, and you're only open 19% of the week, and half your calls come in before 8 o'clock, during your office close at lunch, after 5 o'clock, we're going to open up that funnel. I'm going to move your assistant. They start calling when they're in traffic and their hour commute to work at 6 to 7, and you don't even answer your phone till 8. I'm going to have Barbara come in at 6. She's going to take a lunch from 11 to 12, and then she's going to come in and work till 2:30. Your current little girl up there, she comes in at 8. I'm going to have her come in at 9:30, take a lunch from 1 to 2, and she's going to stay till 6:30. I'm going to open up that deal. I'm going to increase. You know how you double your sales? Double your sales staff. I'm going to double your receptionist from 1 to 2, and I'm going to measure. We went from answering 800 calls a week to now answering 1,600 calls a week. And I don't care if you're Domino's Pizza. I mean, what would happen to any Domino's Pizza if they doubled the number of calls answered? Do you think it would affect pizza sales? It would double it. And then you double that funnel. Then you say to the dentist, well, how many incoming calls did you have? I don't know. How many went to voicemail? I don't know. How many were they trying to explain dentistry and they had to put them on hold? I don't know. Do you record the calls? I don't know. How many people landed on your website last month? I don't know. For every 100, how many of those unique visits convert to call? I don't know. How many uniques have to call to convert to your schedule? I don't know. What is your treatment plan acceptance rate? I don't know. Okay, so what are you gonna do this weekend? Oh, I'm gonna fly to Scottsdale and see Spear, and I'm gonna take an occlusion course, and then I was taking this impression from Impergum, which I've used for 31 years, for $19. I sent it to my lab man Van Hook right up the street, and he makes an all porcelain crown for I don't know, $100. I mean, who even cares? Well, what I'm going to do is instead of a $19 impression, I'm going to buy a true definition scanner for $19,000, and then instead of having 7,500 labs, there'll only be a few hundred labs, and then I'm going to buy a CAD cam and have my assistant who's never made a crown start making the crowns, and that was $150,000, and then I'm going to send her to all these training courses to learn how to do CAD cam, and we're going to go to Scottsdale every other month for a year and spend tens of thousands, and I'm like, oh my God.
And meanwhile, they haven't done a thing with the relationships. Well, Howard, we're running out of time, but I think this is a real need in dentistry, is for the dentist to get real about the relationship side of dentistry. We do these at our GOT summits. We encourage the dentist to bring some of their staff with them to the courses, instead of them coming and learning it all and then trying to bring it back. Bring those people, and then let's teach them how to get into their highest and best use as well. You've got for those of you listening, if you don't know who Howard Farran is, you do now. And Howard, I'm sorry this was a low energy day for you, because we need you to be a little more energetic at times. But if you don't know Howard, you can find Howard on DentalTown. His podcast is Dentistry Uncensored. They can find all your courses there as well. And if people want to get a hold of you and have them come talk to you, you can do that on DentalTown as well. Is there one little bit of advice in our last closing seconds here on how to get these guys off the treadmill?
When I was in high school, I saw this movie called Star Wars with John Leese, who I went from 7th grade to the end of dental school, and it just blew our minds. I think we saw the movie like 3 times. And now you have an iPhone, and you can download the DentalTown app, and there's 250,000 dentists in there. There's no question you could think of that hasn't already been asked. And I have 250,000 dentists. And then on that same app, 400 one-hour courses for $18 a course. You could email me, howard@dentaltown.com. This is your game to lose. Only 0.4% of dental offices go bankrupt. And the only cause of dental bankruptcy is your license taken away. What did you do? You did something to get your license taken away. Drugs, alcohol, murder, weird stuff. There was a guy in Louisville arrested yesterday. I mean, so if you're not a criminal, why are you working for a DSO you can't stand when you only have a default rate of 0.4%? I mean, dentistry is a no-brainer. It's not a competitive industry. They don't fail. All you do is live in fear and scarcity, and you got 100 just do it. Go open up your own practice and read my book. It's on Amazon. It's like $9. It's called Uncomplicate Business. If you don't have the $9, call me. I'll fly you down to my house and read it to you myself. I'm at howard@dentaltown.com. Just go do it.
All right.
Great team. Know your numbers. the dentistry will come, and if you had one half as much fun listening to us say they had a fun time.
Awesome. Well, Howard, it's a pleasure to have you on. You guys heard it from Howard first. Get on there in DentalTown and let's look at those courses and check out the DentalTown app. Let's figure out what questions. Let's see if we can find one that's never been asked. I think Howard's right. It's probably all on there. So Howard, this was a pleasure. Thanks, buddy. I look forward to having you on again.
Oh, the honor was all mine. You have a rocking hot day, buddy.
Thanks so much. Talk to you later. If this podcast was helpful, please subscribe by computer or by phone, or connect with us at www.gottsummit.com, 2 T's, G-O-T-T summit.com. That stands for Get Off the Treadmill. We have those summits quarterly for dental practitioners only. Or connect with us at www.chuckblakeman.com or email us at grow@cranksetgroup.com. Let's get off that treadmill. Let's get into the participation age. I look forward to seeing you in the next podcast. Thanks.